Welcome back, everyone, to a Kaizen Mind book club. Book club number 3, I think it is. So, last book club, we looked at Professor Carol Dweck's mindset. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm Linda Heffernan, behavioral scientist, executive leadership coach, and cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist for executives. So, yes, this book, excellent book, mindset, growth mindset, strongly underpins the majority of my work. But we're moving on. We have another book. And this book, ta da! The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters. Now, folks, before I go further, I need to address something important. Peters uses the metaphor of a chimp to represent the emotional brain, and some people have raised concerns about racist undertones in that language, and those concerns are valid and worth acknowledging. Historically, racist imagery has been used in terms of primate comparisons to dehumanize people. So I understand why the metaphor can be problematic. Peters, though, is actually referring to the evolutionary brain development, the older limbic system that we share with primates, chimps, versus the newer prefrontal cortex. His intent is neurological, not racial. But intent doesn't always override impact. So, in this review, I'll explain the neuroscience using direct language: emotional brain, rational brain, limbic system, prefrontal cortex, rather than the original metaphor. The framework itself is valuable, and I want to share that without the problematic language. So you can decide for yourself whether you're comfortable with Peters' original terminology. What I care about is whether the underlying neuroscience can help you lead and live better. Okay, so a core aspect of this book is that your mind operates through 3 systems: a rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, your logical, thoughtful self, this is you. Then there's the emotional brain, the limbic system, your reactive, impulsive thinking, always first on the scene, okay? It's the quickest one. And the automatic brain, your stored patterns, your habits, and your learned responses. Now, the struggle happens when your emotional brain hijacks your rational thinking. And Peters shows you how to recognize when you're in emotional reaction mode and how to manage it. Key insight: your emotional brain can work for you or against you, and you need to manage it, not eliminate it. And this is why acceptance work is sometimes important. It's highly practical. There's exercises throughout the book that I have used and that my clients use. But this is a good science book, and that matters, this science. So let me talk about Professor Peters' credentials. He's a consultant psychiatrist with over 20 years treating serious mental health conditions. He's a clinical director of mental health services and worked at Rampton Special Hospital. He is senior clinical lecturer at Sheffield University. So folks, this isn't pop psychology. This is clinical psychiatry, but made accessible, and it's kind of sexy the way he's done it. Here's the neuroscience. Your emotional brain, the limbic system, responds 5 times faster than your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex. The emotional brain, it is designed for survival, fight, flight, freeze, so we need it. When triggered, your amygdala, down there in the emotional brain, it takes control before your rational brain can even process what's happening. Your emotional brain thinks in black and white, it catastrophizes, and it acts on impulse. Your rational brain considers consequences, it thinks logically, and it acts with your values. And we talk so much about values in coaching. For my executives, you often have done things in your professional life that may have been impulsive. How often have you sent an email in anger? How often have you reacted defensively to feedback or made a snap decision that you later regretted? That's your emotional brain hijacking the process. Understanding this model gives you the awareness to pause and recognize, I'm in emotional reaction mode, not rational response mode. So there's growth here, and growth comes into every conversation I have. You are building your capacity to manage emotional hijacking is fundamental. It's fundamental to leadership presence, to resilience and effective decision making. So, from my point of view, what works in this book, in this model? Well, I think it's brilliantly simple, but not over simple, and it's memorable. Peters became famous working with Olympic athletes such as Victoria Pendleton from British Cycling, and Sir Chris Hoy from British Cycling. And he also is a consultant for Liverpool FC. Sorry to all the Man U fans. This framework works under the highest pressure imaginable, but it's equally applicable to difficult conversations. It's applicable to workplace conflict and personal relationships. This works in the home. The book is highly practical with exercises you can implement immediately. Peters doesn't just tell you what to do, he explains the neuroscience behind why you react the way you do. And again, it's very accessible without being too simplistic. It's just a nice balance, so that respects your intelligence. A fun part of the book that I really like are the illustrations. They make complex brain function concrete and understandable. So, my honest positioning on this book, it's a solid neuroscience book wrapped in an accessible framework, and that's what I usually choose for my clients. Peters uses a metaphorical model to explain limbic system and prefrontal cortex interaction. The science is sound, even if the metaphor isn't for everyone. It's more rigorous than typical self-help books because Peters is a clinical psychiatrist with decades of treating mental health conditions. Some might find the framework too simple, but that's intentional. Usability over academic complexity. Again, a note on the language. Peters' original metaphor doesn't work for everyone. What matters is understanding the neuroscience. You have an emotional brain that reacts fast and a rational brain that responds thoughtfully. Learning to manage that dynamic is the key skill. So, bottom line, Linda, should I read this? Should you read this? Yes, absolutely. If you want to understand why you react emotionally when you'd rather stay calm. If you're in leadership and need tools for high-pressure decision-making. If you want practical neuroscience for emotional regulation. If you've ever sabotaged your own success through reactive behavior. If you're a parent of teenagers, highly recommended. My take, this book gives you a framework for understanding emotional hijacking that you will use for life. Once you understand the distinction between emotional reaction and rational response, you simply can't unsee it. You'll recognize it in yourself and others constantly, toddlers and teenagers particularly. If Dweck's mindset teaches you how to respond to challenges, Well, then Peter's model teaches you how to manage the emotional hijacking that prevents you from responding well in the first place. So that's it. It's a great book. I thoroughly recommend it. I will put the link to the book in the description and the link to the next book. Okay. Grit: Why Passion and Resilience Are the Secrets to Success by Angela Duckworth. And if I'm not mistaken, it might even be Professor Angela Duckworth now. This is a wonderful book. It's a core read for me. She's a psychologist, so again, science-driven, but written in a very accessible way. That's it, folks. If you are finding value in these reviews, please subscribe. I'm curating behavioral science that actually works for you. In the meantime, looking forward to working with you again soon, and look after yourself.